MC Crawl here, guys, and this is the elevator you guys will be building today. I made this portion of the video after I have made the video because I have tried to build this in Burpcraft and I could not get it to work. So I want to make it perfectly clear before anybody decides to waste their time building this in an extremely laggy server that it will not work, and it will also not work in bucket servers due to the bucket team messing around with the pistons. Due to the sand generators, they tweaked the piston updates, so now when you use elevators or when you use pistons, they're a bit wishy-washy in bucket servers. So because of that, you guys can't use this in bucket. I'm sorry, because that's like what 75% of all servers are bucket servers. So I apologize for that. But this should work on a vanilla server, and as long as it's a decent sized server. Especially if you yourself are running it from your computer. All you do is connect to localhost and you should be able to run this without a problem. I've had it running on my computer, no problem. I've had it running on my computer with 10 European people running on the server at the same time, but I also have a pretty beast computer running the server. So, and I have a really good connection. So, I'm not sure if it'll work for you. I highly suggest testing it once you have your zipper portion right here done, and you have the ascending line done with the power underneath here. Once you have that, build up to probably your first floor. I would say only build to one floor, and then test it and see if it'll push you up. Another tip is possibly removing this block and the other block and adding another piston right below here. I've heard some rumors in my last tutorial that people were able to get it to work just by placing an additional piston with a block right down there. Alright guys, that is the end of my disclaimer. Now we will move on to the intro to the tutorial. Hey guys, MC Crawl here and welcome back. Today I have a tutorial for you guys. This is my SMP friendly floor selection zipper elevator. We are going to be doing all aspects of the elevator today. What you guys are looking at is actually the plan view of the elevator. Now what a plan view is basically just showing you the wiring from a top-down view. I'm going to go ahead and explain a few things before we get started on you guys recreating the plan view so that you guys can lay out the area in which you need. First of all, this is an advanced redstone tutorial. You guys are going to need quite a bit of time, and you're going to need to know a bit about redstone before you recreate this. This isn't just a place block, place redstone, place torch, and be done with it. It's not going to work that way. So I highly suggest that if you do not know much about redstone, that you go watch some redstone tutorials before you start this. This tutorial is going to take some time regardless of how many floors you have. Naturally, the more floors you have, the longer time it's going to take. The intention for this tutorial is to have 3 or more floors, including the bottom floor. You also need to figure out which orientation you want your elevator to be facing. It's very important. If you're in single player, you want it to be facing either north or south. If you're in multiplayer, you want it to be facing east or west. The reason for this is because of the way torches react to the north-south quirk. There will be annotations on the left-hand side, if you guys haven't noticed already, for quick switching between wiring units. I'm going to go and cut each unit into sections so that so you guys can switch or go quickly back to where you left off, or look ahead if you need to figure something out. This tutorial is going to take quite a bit of time. I assume for even 3 floors, probably going to take you roughly around 3+ hours. Now I'm going to go ahead and go over the colors and how this sort of unit works. Now, the way this works is what you guys are looking at is actually 16 wide, and however deep is dependent on how many floors. Naturally, you will need at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You will need at least 10, and that is for 3 floors. Actually, 12. I apologize. You will need 12. In this tutorial, I will be doing 6 floors. 6 floors, and then at the end of the video, I will be doing an additional floor. The purpose of this is so that you guys can learn how to add a floor if you need to. I highly suggest going as low as you possibly need. I would suggest doing this elevator at bedrock if you plan on doing anything at bedrock, and then just working your way up, because like I said, it's a floor selection elevator, so you can go to any floor from any floor, but you can't really add a floor below your lowest floor. Once you've set your lowest floor, that's your base. Alright guys, now I'm going to explain the wiring here a bit. Each color represents a different type of wiring unit, and it has its own function. The first I should explain is the 2 gray here. This is basically, any gray you see is a piston with a block attached to it. You notice that we have some here, 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 and here. The blue and orange are actually the ascending wire. It's what powers the elevator to take you up. The brown wire is actually the call wire, and also a reset wire. The pink wires are RS NOR latches. They are 4x3, 4 wide, 3 high. And notice that there are 2 here. The RS NOR latches are the most important. They are basically what triggers the floor selection. The purple wire is actually the next, quote-unquote, next floor wire. So as you see, this is where your button will be on every floor, and then your wiring will lead up here as it ascends, and that will select the next floor from whichever floor you are on. The red wire is actually an ascending wire which resets all RS NOR latches after they have been set. I didn't explain this before, but the purple wire actually sets all of the RS NOR latches that are above the floor you're at. The dark gray section here is actually your floor selection, your ascending floor selection. You will select a button, and then the button will trigger what buttons you would press on the next floor selection and the pressure plate you would be standing on to open up the elevator. Naturally, this is determined by how many floors you are going to be working on. This will be your first floor, second, third, fourth. Actually, this would be your second floor. I apologize. Your bottom floor will not have a floor button up. So you will need for the second floor, third floor, fifth floor, sixth floor, and so on and so on. The yellow and blue represent the wire coming off of the floor selection buttons. This green section and this gray section actually go together. This is the descending wire, and this is what triggers the cutoff switch for allowing this piston to retract gradually to let you go down to the whatever floor you selected. The lime green, which would be on your standard texture pack, is what allows you to select a specific floor to stop at. This pink section is an RS NOR latch which will trigger this section to allow you to select which floor in which you would like to stop. The black section represents the descending floor selection. It will always be one longer than the ascending floor selection. Mainly because this block right here is the floor selection to the next floor up. So it will reduce this section by 1 by placing it right there. This block, however, is the activation to the door. It will not send you to a specific floor. So you will need all your floors on the side. The magenta line is actually the line representing how your wiring is going to connect from all of this wire into your RS NOR latches. The white line is just a border to represent that you will not need to exceed that limit for your wiring. Notice that that is as far as you will need to go right there. As I said before, it is exactly 16 blocks wide. The obsidian line is strictly just for activating the descending line. All it does is power this unit. Now that you know what all the line does, it is imperative that you know the amount of space you need to work with. So I would highly suggest that you map this out as well. You don't need to use colored wool. Obviously, you guys will know how you're wiring it, but it is recommended. Keep in mind on how many floors you're going to use, because that is going to determine the length that you'll need. As I said, I am only doing 6 floors and then adding a 7th at the end of the video. This portion of the tutorial focuses on the zipper elevator itself. You will need sticky pistons, staircases, and solid blocks. Now what you want to start with is putting solid blocks on the 2 sections right like that, and then a staircase facing in on the left hand side. Now you need to take your sticky pistons and have them facing in from the outside block, and you will continue to do that until you reach the required location you would like to end. Keep in mind when you are putting your floors together that they need to end at an even number, 6, 8, 12, 14, 16, 18, and so on. And the reason for this is because when the elevator closes, it'll close at 2 blocks instead of an individual block. So you need to make sure it lands at a very specific block. Once you have finished laying all of your sticky pistons, you will need to make sure you lay out all of your floors exactly where you want to put them. It is very important that you know where you want to put them to make sure that your elevator comes out properly. Now in the next part, you want to place all of your solid blocks and your staircases in your zipper. Now you have a staircase on the left hand side, so you want to stagger every block. So you'll put a staircase on the right hand side on the first sticky piston. So then the next one would be like so. So you want to stagger all your blocks. So if you just go every other block with your blocks, you will be fine as long as you start off the right way. I am going to go ahead and finish this up, and I'll be right back. Once you have finished placing all of your blocks on your zipper elevator, I highly suggest laying out your floor properly so that you can stand on them. For this tutorial, I am going to use a specific block to label which floor I am standing on. For this, I will use OR blocks. So the floor order goes for you following is we will use smooth stone for the bottom, coal, iron, lapis, gold, redstone, diamond, and when we add on our 7th floor, or our 8th, it will be obsidian. And for clarification, I meant lapis. Moving on, we are now working on the wiring for the ascending. This is the blue line and the orange line. Now, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to fill all of this in all the way to one block above my top piston. And I will do the same for the orange blocks. If you are limited to your materials, I highly suggest you wait until you see me punch out the proper sections. Notice I have filled in all of the blocks, one block past the pistons. Now we need to punch out the blocks that we do not need. Our first block of orange is going to be this block right here. So what you can do is punch out the block above it, and then the block corresponding on the other side, like so, and then the one below. For each two section, these are the only blocks you will need. So from each individual vertical line, you will only need every other block. So you can punch out every other block on the line from there on up. When you come to this section, you will need to do the exact same thing. You just punch out the blocks opposite of these blocks, like so. And you will continue this all the way through. Until you get a pattern such as this. Finish it all the way up till you're done. I will, and then I will be right back. Once you are finished taking out all the blocks that you do not need, you can remove these two orange blocks and this blue block, and we could start our wiring. Now for the wiring, you will need redstone torches, redstone, and redstone repeaters, and that is all you will need. On the orange block on the left hand side, you will need to place a repeater facing in toward the piston for every block, set at the tick of 1. So just don't touch the repeater once you have set it. And once you are done with that, on the adjacent side of the orange block, you will need to place redstone. So you could just place redstone all the way up. I really suck at this. Come on. Come on. There we go. Alright. Now the next block, you will need torches facing outward, like so, on every block. Once you have finished placing the torches, actually, let's go ahead and place the torches on the other side as well. On the other side, you'll need to place a torch just like you did on that side, and then also place a torch on the outside. You will not need a torch here, as it will not do anything. So you will place one on the inside and then one on the outside of that block. You also want to make sure that you do place a torch on the outside of that one block that is taller than the pistons. And once you have done that, the rest are repeaters. From here on, you want to place all your repeaters facing inward. I highly suggest you start at the bottom, as it will create the less amount of lag. So let's go ahead and move to the bottom, and you start here and just face all of your repeaters inward. At this point, all of your repeaters should be facing in and set at 1 tick. If you are in single player, your orientation should have been set at north and south, and you should have the repeater set to default, which is 1 tick. If you are in multiplayer, you should have it set to east and west. North and south is fine, but may require more issues with tick settings. You won't have the amount of options as you would if you were set to east and west. In east and west, I have seen the best timing as 2 ticks per repeater. If you are on a slower server, then you will need to go even further. Do make sure that you set your repeaters equally. Do not stagger them. Do not have 2 at one and 1 at another. You actually do not need this bottom repeater. I am going to create a hole underneath this section so that we can wire it up. I will be right back. Alright, so here we are underneath the unit. As you could see our wool laid out here. And what we are looking for is this block right here next to our purple block. This is where our power is going to come in. First thing you want to do, I'm just going to go ahead and use the block. I guess cobblestone will work. I'm going to place a block there with some redstone on top. It took my redstone away from me. And put some redstone on top. Next thing I want to do is find out where my wiring came in. My wiring is on the second block, second blue block, so it's this block right here. If I remove that, the power is actually being powered in that block. So let's go ahead and take my blue. We will put a torch on top. That is opening up the elevator. And now we need to invert it a second time. The elevator needs to be closed by default. So if we do this, and then put a piece of redstone right there, that should open the elevator when we press the pressure plate. We need to stick a pressure plate right there. Oh, I'm sorry. The wrong one. Right there. The reason we place the pressure plate on the left-hand side is so that you do not reactivate the elevator when you are coming down in the ascending. So when you go down a floor, you almost always, every time, will land on the right-hand block. So this way, when you step out, you do not re-trigger the elevator. I replaced the stone pressure plate with a wooden pressure plate so that is easier seen. At this point, you can test to see whether or not your elevator will work in SMP. This is a crucial time in which you will be able to tell whether or not this elevator will work on your server as designed. If you open it up and then step in, you should be pushed along by the elevator. A common issue can be that you will fall out the back. If that is the case and you fall out the back, I suggest placing blocks on the back side so that when you open the elevator, you can walk to the rear without any issues. If you get stuck in any part of the elevator, try turning the speed down. You can try starting at the bottom and going up to the point in which you fell out of the elevator or got pushed into another block. You can see how slow it actually does go. And you can set it one notch even further. However, I do highly suggest that if you need to set it to 4 ticks, then I highly recommend using ladders, because the elevator is not going to go fast enough to actually even be worth making. This is very, very slow, and it's picking up. So I am going to reset these back to default 2. The next section we're going to work on is the call wire, also the brown wire. Now what you want to do, and this is the reason why it's actually limited to 6 blocks per floor rather than 4 blocks per floor. So the first thing you want to do is place a block, or actually you want to put all of your pressure plates in. All your pressure plates are going to be on the left hand side, like so. And this is going to be very consistent for every floor. So here's your pressure plate. You want to break out, if you have them, the 2 blocks adjacent to it. You'll need to place a block that is below, diagonally from the block below the pressure plate. Then you want to move this wire out and all around, and when it gets to here, you want to move the block up by 1. Then just continue to move these blocks out 4 blocks. Now when we get to this point, you actually want to put 1 block on top of this one covering that repeater. And then right there you have all the wire you need. From here you want to put redstone all the way across into a repeater, and then with a piece of redstone, then into another repeater, and then a redstone across there. Now what this does, this actually calls the elevator. If the elevator is open at a lower level, it will reset RS NOR latches, and I will explain that soon. That's when it merges into the red line. For right now, all the wiring does is open the elevator. So when you go to try to get onto the elevator, you will need to go to the side here, but it's kind of what you gotta do. Now the way the wiring is set here, notice I have a repeater here. The only thing that this repeater does is block the power from that torch going into this line. And you will also have the pink line, which is this wire right here, going into this line as well, and you don't want that wire coming back through the line. So that is the purpose of that repeater, and it's very important. All the repeaters should be set to default 1 tick. You should do that for every floor except for the bottom floor. The bottom floor does not need that line because it goes directly underneath and into this section here. Your top floor is the exception to the brown wire. I will show you how to integrate this into your additional floors if and when you decide to add more floors. But at the moment, just go ahead and leave a few blocks out, add some wire, and we'll leave it as is until we add our red wire. The next section we're going to work on is the ascending RS NOR latch wire. It has a very specific placement. What you want to do is start here, go up 3 blocks, go out 1 on this side, and go out 2 on this side. Now you want to break off that block. It was just an anchor. Break out these 2 center blocks, and you have the frame of your RS NOR latch. Now what you want to do is you want to place a torch on the inside, or a repeater on the inside there, 2 pieces of redstone, a torch there, a torch there, and a torch there, and a piece of redstone on the top of that block right there. I know a lot of you may think that you don't need that piece of redstone, but in actuality it is imperative to another part of the unit. So you will need that piece of redstone in order for a certain button to trigger the RS NOR latch. This is your basis for your RS NOR latch, and you need to repeat this process on every brown wire that you have except for the top floor. So I'll do it one more time. Place a block, 1, 2, 3, out 1 to the left, out 2 to the right. destroy the 2 center blocks and that bottom block there. Repeater on the inside. Redstone on top of all the pink blocks. Torch on the inside there, torch on the inside there, and a torch on the outside here. And that is your basis for all the blocks. I'll be right back once I am done making all the rest. Now, if you place them in the order that I did not tell you to do, then you may come into an issue like this, where all your blocks are placed, but this torch is powered rather than inverted. To prevent that, you simply just destroy this block of redstone and place it again, and that will reset your RS NOR latch. Make sure that all your RS NOR latches are reset. The next portion we are going to be working on is the ascending next floor wire, which is the purple wire. Now, in order to run our wire to the next floor, we're going to need a button. So my next floor from the first floor is coal. So I'm going to place a piece of coal right there and some buttons. From here, we are going to run our wire out to the point where we see this last block, and then we run it up. From here, we run it all the way up to our last RS NOR latch, which should be this one right here. Perfect. Now we come back down and we want to place a repeater coming out of that block. For the most part, we want that repeater coming out so that we don't have any conflicts with wire powering these pistons right here. Then we'll run our wire out, and then from this point we will invert a torch. From here we want to do that all the way up without stopping. So we will just torch block, torch block, torch block all the way up. This should go fairly fast if you're in creative. If you are not in creative, you may have an issue. So, yeah. I suggest using a ladder system, maybe making some scaffolding to make this a lot easier on yourself. Now you'll come across one of two issues usually. One being you run into this issue where the wiring comes off here. You can use a torch and power the make a torch come out like this and power the RS NOR latch right there. Or you'll run into another issue like this one, where this torch, if you were to place it here, notice that it's powered, it needs to come out where it's unpowered. So we will just extend out this block and then put a piece of wire coming out from the unpowered block. And as we come up, we should see variations of the two, like so. This one unpowered, and this one also unpowered, like so. Now what happens here is when we press our next floor block, it will open up the elevator. It will trigger all of these RS NOR latches that are above the floor that I am pressing the button. So if you notice, I get in here, I press the coal button, I should go to coal floor. Alright, now what we want to do is set all of our buttons for every other floor. So this floor is iron, so we will need to place our button like so. Put our buttons on there. And we will need to trigger this purple line. Now, it's getting to there, to that point, which can become a little tricky. You definitely need to do it over the top of this line. So we will come out like so and into the line. So it goes up, and then at this point you'll need a repeater. You cannot have this power or this power transferring back into this line. On this floor, let's see if I get my lapburst lazuli, you run into a few different options occasionally, so I just want to make sure I am covering all of them. Oh, did I break out all the ones I didn't need? Yes, I did. And notice that right here, it's a little bit different. Right here, we can't exactly run the wire into it. So we need to get a little bit tricky. So at this point, you actually may need to change things around up here. So what we'll do is we'll remove this block and this block right here. Now, if we invert our power like that, then when this block comes up to this point, we are now in a state in which this system will work. So our power will come up and it'll go into that block, and it will now be able to turn off that block. However, that can create issues up here as to what we saw before. So if this happens, and it most likely will, you can simply just remove the block and then do it the other way by placing a torch. That was odd. My son just did a little noise. The next level is gold. Now you should see from this example that we will run into a familiar issue where this is just like how we had it on the first run. So we'll do it like that, and then the next level is redstone ore. So let's use redstone right there. And ooh, did I put my purple block away? Why would I do that? Alright, and then we want to run our power out again. Oh, see right here, here's another issue. We've ran into that problem where we're defaulted on a powered torch. So we will remove the torch, place a block underneath, and then our line. So now our power will come out of that torch rather than that torch. So as you can see, when we come out here, we run into another issue. Very simple. All you do, take out that torch, put a block on the outside there, and all we're doing is inverting. So we place that torch on the outside, this torch here, and then we're back to square one again. Like so. And this one will be our last one. Now this one is our second to last floor, and it's a little bit different. By that I mean you will still use your regular button, but your button will not go into this unit. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to bring it up just like we did before, and we're going to leave it right there. Now from here, another thing that the button does as well is resets all the RS NOR latches that are below it, or at the level that they're at. So what we're going to do from here is when you bring this up, you want to bring it up to that point, and then you want to bring it over. So you're going to have something kind of like this. Let me go ahead and do that again from the start. I'm going to bring it out. You're going to bring it up. You're going to block off the power from that redstone line. And then we're going to bring the power out here. And then we're going to bring it up by 1. Okay. We want to put redstone here. And then bring it up. And then a torch. Not a torch. A repeater out over there. Now what that's going to do, when we put our button here, that's actually going to reset this RS NOR latch line. So say it is triggered. Let's see, let's put our, I don't have room for a button there. There we go. Oh, it seems we have issues with other redstone lines. Oops, we actually need to reset them, but we do not have our reset line in yet. So I'm just gonna install resets here, like so. And there it goes. They are all reset. Now when we press this button, oh, let's say that our we pressed this button right here, and we want to get to this floor. That will now open and allow us to go up. But now, when we want to go up, we need to go to the next floor. So what we need to do is we actually need to close the elevator. In order to do that, this line will reset any of the RS NOR latches above it. So we need to press this and reset this RS NOR latch. So that will be this button right here. So we press the button and it resets it, like so. So now that when we open up our elevator, it will open up into that. So we have to do that with every line. Otherwise, it just opens up all the elevators. But let's see. Keep in mind that there's another wire that's actually going to reset any of the RS NOR latches below it as well. That's why this functionality is a little bit hard to explain, because it goes and coincide with the red line. Okay, so at this point, I had shown you how to run this wire on the second to the highest floor. You will not have a floor up button at the top level, obviously. So you want to take your wire just like you did on the top section, and you want to bring it out and up one on all of these, and then you just place a repeater. So you'll do that with every single floor. I'll just go ahead and do these since they are quick. And like so. Very simple. Now we have the floor selection up available. Oh, that one's already selected. Now that's going to open that one. Now we come to the issue right here. I press that one, and although it resets this RS NOR latch, it doesn't do anything to reset these RS NOR latches. That comes with another functionality. We will be using this pressure plate to do that, and that will be sort of the quote-unquote call function. Notice that that does not work as well, and that is because we do not have a red wiring. That is our next wire. Alright guys, so the next portion that we're going to be working on is the descending RS NOR latch reset wire. What it does is it closes all the floors below the level in which you are traveling. So it's going to trigger from the pressure plate. So whenever I hit the pressure plate, if the zipper elevator is open on a floor lower than where I am standing, it will close all of the RS NOR latches to bring the elevator to my specific level, whether for me to go down or for me to go up. Okay, so this is the wire right here. I highly suggest starting at the bottom, as it'll make things a lot easier. You want to start right here, and what you're going to do is you're going to put a repeater right there facing in. I'm sorry, wrong starting point, guys. Right there, and put a repeater facing inwards. From here, if you guys notice down on the floor, it goes out 3 blocks. At this point, you are going to have descending wire going all the way down basically to that floor. So the next part, you just want to bring up your wire all the way to the very top floor. Your pressure plate at the very top floor is going to be triggering this section as well. So I'm going to move this all the way up to the top floor, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, now that it's all the way at the top floor, we want to start at the bottom again. Now notice where we put our repeater coming in for the first time, and we want to punch out that block right there. That block is going to have a redstone block on there, a redstone dot. Let me get all this out of here. And from here, what we want to do is power that block downward. So we are going to remove that block and face it towards the adjacent block. So it's going to power into this block here and down. That's exactly what we're looking for. And that's my phone. So now that you know exactly where our stuff is facing, we do not need this, this, or this, that is for sure. But we do need to stagger our blocks. So we are going to take out every other block and make this little Swiss cheese looking thing here we got going. And once you're done with that, once I'm done with this, I will be right back. Next, you want to stagger everything so that your power is getting down properly. So what we need to do here is, first we have our repeater who's facing down in this direction. Now we need to go up 1 block from that repeater and then face it the other direction. And we need to continue that all the way through.
Hi, Dada.
Once you are finished placing all the repeaters, you need to come in and place all of your redstone. The way the redstone works is that the way the repeater is facing, you need to go diagonally down. So there's the repeater diagonally down, there's a block. Same thing with this one. And then you can just, once you get the idea of where you place it, you can just go up and stagger them. You do want to keep the repeaters at 1 tick. Next, once you have completed that, we need to run all of our proper wiring into this unit. Just like this one right here, we need to power this we need to reset this RS NOR latch. So we need to set this one right here. In order to do that, we can, let's see, we should be able to still place a repeater facing out, whether it is from that block or from that block. So either block, it should still work out fine. And those are the only 2 options you're going to have. One way or another, power will be going into one of those blocks. Okay, so you can continue to do that, placing all the repeaters in the right spots. And I think we got one last one up here. There we go. Next, we want to have power from the brown line going into the red line. Now let's start at the bottom. Now this bottom brown line, it is unnecessary because there are no RS NOR latches that need to be reset below the line. So we will move up to the next line. From here, we want to power this line. To do that, we can bring this out. We need to place a repeater right there, and we need to place a block in front of the repeater which will power a piece of redstone on top of it. And what that's going to do is that's going to send the power into this repeater and down. Very simple. Also, The repeater must be set to 1 tick. We do not want to be able to not outrun our wiring. Now if we move up, we want to do the same thing. Set a repeater. And this instance actually just so happens to be the same. So we will do exactly the same thing. And that is dirt. Every time I get rid of these, they come back. So we would do the same thing here. This one is a little bit different in the sense that we do not need to place a piece of redstone. Like these. These have redstone on top of the red block. This one does not need it because we are actually powering this block right here. So you either run into the issue where you either power this block, or you will, if there is no redstone at the other end of this, you will need to put redstone on top of this block. Those are the only two issues you will, two circumstances you will run into. Like so. Very simple. Now, wiring this one in, I highly suggest running it in a similar fashion if you ever plan on adding a floor. This way you have less wiring to run. So for this particular instance, if we were to mimic what we have down there, we would then take the wiring and run it like this. Then, lining it up here, we will take the wiring and run it out here. So we can remove that, run our wire, set a repeater, technically we would put a piece of redstone up there, and we will continue our line like so. That will power the proper stuff. Yes, we can just remove that and run the power directly into it, but if we stay consistent and we do this, then we're going to have a lot less issues when we go to add our next floor, if we decide to add our next floor. Okay, so what this does is, again, when we press the pressure plate, it will close all of the RS NOR latches. It'll reset them all so that the elevator will close and come up to our location. So if we do that, all of the ones below should close, and it should stop right here. To get to the next available floor that you want, you would either need to select the floor or select the next floor button. So if I were to select the next floor, it will then close again, but you can come in here and then pop right in. If you hadn't made it this far in the tutorial, first of all, I would like to congratulate you. This is not an easy tutorial to do, but I hope that the instructions I have given have been very clear and concise and easy to follow. Alright guys, so the next portion of the tutorial is the floor selection itself. The first thing you want to do is place blocks however long your elevator goes, I guess. However many floors you have. I have 7, so I will be going 5 floors here because we are not counting the floor I'm standing on and we are not counting the next floor up. So technically this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. From here you want to place blocks on the rear side. If you want to make it easier on yourself, and if you have the material, just go ahead and do this. And what you want to do is place repeaters all along there. Then you go ahead and place blocks in front of that, and repeaters on the other side, and then another row of blocks. Now to make it a little easier to look at, I'm going to go ahead and use the corresponding floor material to run the wire. So what I'm going to need to do is for each floor place all of my buttons. For the next floor, what I need to do is lay out my floor, lay out the bottoms. Oops. Lay out the bottom section, and then place every floor up that I need. So this one is going to be one less block. So I'm going to start with lapis and go one block over. All of them should line up. So all the lapis should be right there. All of the gold should be right there. Redstone, diamond, and the like. Okay, so do that with every floor. And when you're done there, the next section you will need to run your wire up. For the first section, which is the iron ore, you need to simulate you being on the coal floor, pressing this button and stepping on this pressure plate. So I need to activate this line of wire and this line of wire. To do that, I need to bring this out one block, go one over and one right there. Create this little concave here. Then I need to place wire on all three of those blocks. From there, I need to bring my wire out and place a piece of redstone. And you'll need to do that with every floor. Then, when you've done that, we need to start running our wire. You need to have the wire run by default off, so that the power will trigger the line and the RS-No latch. So right now, this is a very easy way to set it up. Now I will show you how to do it on the next two floors, and then you can get the gist of what needs to be done. So let's go ahead and move on to the next floor. We'll just move this line up. Let's go ahead and, oop, that's a little bit too tall. It needs to be like right about here. I need to clean up this floor. Make sure I move it out. Oops. And place all my blocks there. And then all the blocks I need. So I need to start with no, don't start with lapis, start with gold. And my gold lines up right here. Then it's redstone, and then it's diamond. And all our buttons will be on the faces of these. Now the next thing you want to do, so let's use lapis again. I hate it when that happens. There we go. We'll use lapis again, and we will place our little triangle section that we need. Did I do that right? This one, oops. This one looks done right. This one looks off. Why does that? Oh! I feel stupid. That's why it looked off. Okay. Then we place redstone on top of them and build this out and place a repeater. Alright. Now, what we want to do is break every other block, bring up our, whoops, that was not intentional. Bring up every block, and we want to get power to that block right there. So from here, all we need to do is just send power directly to it. Very simple. Just make sure that the power going in when the button is not pressed, that it's powered off. Now let's move on to the gold line. So we're going to bring that up to right about here. Let's go ahead and clean up our floor. One more out. Go like this. And then 1, 2, 3. I need 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the only ones left are red and diamond, which are replaced with ink. Okay, go ahead and clean that up. Alright. Now the next thing I want to do is the same thing that I had done down there. It's just one block, one block, one block. Really simple. Place redstone on each block. Bring that out. And place a repeater. Then I need to run all of this. Now, to save time, I would highly suggest running all your wire up next to each other until you get all the way to the top one that you need. Now, the fastest way to do this is to just run all of your lines at once. So I would run a line here, a line here, a line here, and then I would stop with this line because that's as high as I needed to go. Then I would continue with the next ones, stop with this one, continue with the next ones. And this way I would have most of my lines done. Then I would do all the transfer wire. But just to show you guys specifically how it's done and how it works, I'm doing one by one individually. You guys can see this one lined up pretty easily as well. And I'm going to go ahead and show you one more, since this is not taking nearly as much time as I thought it was going to take to finish this section up. So bring this out and bring it out to there. And we only have one floor left. Yeah, because we have one floor up, so this is diamond. And oh yeah, that's right here. Block, block, and block with redstone on top. Oh, wait a minute. Did I do that one wrong? I don't think I did that one wrong. It's very interesting. Some of these came out a little different, didn't they? Oh, okay. I thought it looked a little funny. Well, I guess it doesn't matter too much. So, but I do prefer to be consistent. So, for the sake of consistency, I'm going to place a block here, and then do the adjacent thing. And yeah. So I think I did do a little bit of a inconsistency when telling you guys what to do. But either way, both of them still work, and it's not a big deal. I want to stay consistent, and yeah, this one also needs to change. So one block off of the brown, then that little spacing I had. That's what I want. Man, I did all these wrong. Maybe I should have just left it. Who knows? And this level is red. Oops, see, I just did it again. Right there. And then this one is diamond, but we'll get that one in a second. Let's go ahead and rerun our wire. The wire will run just fine, like this. Yeah. And then we'll do the same thing with the gold. Run it out like so. And then let's get our redstone line. I suggest not using actual redstone ore for this, as it will add to lagginess because of the particles. Okie dokie. Now let's move this out. And we will move this over to here, and we can actually just run this line out. Do not need any of... Oh, no, we needed that one. Technically. Or you can do it this way. That will work as well. And let's go ahead and do the diamond one, in case I didn't say something clear enough for some reason. This is one of the easiest sections to do, and we want to bring that one out to over here. So let's clean this up, even though I won't have any buttons over here. I'm out too far. So there's no buttons here. You're just going to have a wall. And then one block there, there, and there. Like so. Diamonds. and then bring that out that way. I know I had to use the diamond ore the most, didn't I? Alright. Then break. Oh, you know, I'll just place him here like this. Is my volume up enough? And to there. We'll just go ahead and drop that one. Bring it over and bring it in. It almost seems like it was a little more consistent the other way. But anyways, either way those, either which way will work. It's not that big of a deal. Now the next part can go two ways as well. And basically what you need to do is just how this section of wiring powers this line. We need these sections of wiring powering this line as well. So from here, we know that we have the override lines here, because those are powered, and down here. You will never need to power ones that are lower than this line. So in this case, it's this line right here. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put a line of blocks up there and torches on the back side of all of our buttons. Then we're going to place torches on the top side of those blocks, and that's going to invert our line. From here, we want to place blocks all across and set our repeaters facing inward. Again, another situation in which you could stagger redstone and repeater. So this is one way to wire it when you run into this situation, and the next one should be the other. Yes, it is. This one is basically just this, just like how it is on the base, and that's it. So it's either straight into it, or it is inverted, an inverted torch into it. I'll go ahead and do this one as well. This one goes directly into it as well. I love it when that happens. And this one does not. But this one, you can just run up with a simple wire because it is all by its lonesome. And there you have it. Very simple. Now that I think about it, when you want to add a floor, this is going to cause issues. So to prevent this issue, let's go ahead and do it the way we should be doing it. So place a block there, and then another block on top. Bring this line out, and 2 repeaters. Oops, make sure all repeaters are set to 1. And this will help when you go to add another floor in for another section. Now that is the end of this portion, and I would just like to show you guys how this section works. So I'm going to place buttons on all the blocks. And I think that will do it. So at the moment, the elevator is open right here. So if I were to press the red button, the redstone button, it will then open, it will stay open at the redstone section. So everything else will close. And there you have it. So now, if I wanted to get in the elevator, I can go right away. Now, with the ascending portion of the elevator complete, we need to move on to the descending portion. We'll start off with the descending wire, which powers all of the, pretty much all of the descending line. That is what this dark green line is. So the first thing you guys want to do is, just like with the blue wire, we want to take this wire all the way to one block above your highest piston. When I have done that, I will be right back. When you have finished setting your little tower of green blocks, you need to punch out the proper holes. Now, to punch out the proper holes, you notice that you have your blue line here. You want to stagger from your blue line and kind of match the orange line. Oops. So, notice you got a hole there in your orange line. You want to do the same thing. Once you find one spot, you can stagger them all as you need. So, just punch out all of the, punch out all of the staggered holes. And then there you go. Once I have finished punching out all my holes, I will be right back. Alright, once you are finished with that tedious task, we will now need to run our power downward. Now, unlike the ascending wire, which uses torches, the descending wire uses redstone. So on the outside of every one of these blocks, you will need to place redstone, except for this last block down here. You do not need to place it on there. So you will need to do this on both sides. Oh, let's see if I'm not very good at timing. Ah, I think I missed one again. Nope. Good. Up, there we go. And I think that's where that one needs to go. We'll see here in a second. And just like the ascending line, we'll need to have all of our repeaters facing inward. So from this line we will face in. That one actually we don't need. We can remove that block, and we should be able to remove that block as well. So we'll face all the repeaters inward. I wish I was better at timing this. Oh, I suck. "116 frames, my butt." Okay, keep going inward. Like so. Now when we activate our line, pretty much at any one of these points of redstone, the power then will get transferred and move down. You want to keep the repeater settings to 2, like so. This will give you a proper amount of time to not take fall damage when the elevator starts opening up on you. Make sure it's consistent throughout, and that you don't accidentally set one to keep one at 1 or set one to 3. Otherwise, it might throw you off a bit. Now the next portion is the piston that pulls out this block. So the quickest way to do this is actually just to take a line, a block, something to line up against when we're putting down our piston. So we'll just leave it like that, and we will place our sticky piston, on the back of that line. We will go ahead and remove that line when we are done. Now from where it goes here is where we need a torch on the outside of all of these blocks. So there needs to be a piston and a torch. I suggest putting all your pistons in first. Might make it easier for you all. I suck. Oh my god. There we go, there we go. Got it, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. Good. Alright. Now, you want to put all your torches in. Now, if we were to run this, if we were to run this line from any point, anywhere below it would then get depowered. Now, to finish this up, this section, I would suggest removing any blocks that you have remaining. You don't want to have anything in your way when you got to run your other wire. And that is it for the descending wire. The next portion is the descending wire override. Now what this does is when you guys notice that I pushed the button and it powered all the units, it didn't stop until it got all the way until the bottom. We need a way to get it to stop, and the only way to do this is to create an override system. To start that system, I'm going to show you guys right here. This is the lime wool that I'm going to be using. It's going to match the same area in which this brown wire is lying. So if you guys see the top wire right there, that brown wire, you come across and then you see this green piece right here. You need to break that out and break that repeater. And you can do that at every single brown line. From there, what we're going to do is we're going to take our lime wool, bring it up like this. We're going to need a redstone on top. Then adjacent to it, diagonally, we want a repeater facing the other way and a block in front of that. So you'll get something like this. Now what this does, if we were to press our line, let's say up here. Let's press our line up here. It still goes all the way to the bottom. Oh, that's right. You also must set that repeater to 2. You got to keep your timing. Like so. It still goes all the way to the bottom. However, if we remove this block, it will stop right at that point, and it will not go any further. And that's exactly where we want it to be. So, once you have this section, we need to add our piston. So we can do this way right here. We can bring this block out. We just need to get it so it's facing inward, like so. We don't actually need any of these blocks. We just got to get it 2 blocks away from that one. And now we have a piston here. Now this piston is going to be powered by this RS NOR latch, which we will be setting up next. But for now, we will just go ahead and continue to place all of this line and our piston. So I'll go ahead and do a couple more of these. Notice our brown block, the top one. Bust that out. Take out that repeater. Set up our lime wool. We need a piece of redstone and a repeater. Set to 2. We'll do the same thing with this one. Bust out that block, that repeater, lime wool. Oops, I could have just went off that one, huh? I'm doing it all kinds of crazy ways. But you get the idea. Set it to 2. It's very important that you set it to 2, otherwise you will take fall damage if you forget. Right there. Right there, right there. That's a much easier way to do it. Oh, set it to 2. And break it out, break it out. There we go. And a repeater, set it to 2, and that's it. You will only have it at the section in which you have brown wire. And now we want to put our whatever. God, I'm horrible today with the names. the pistons. Sticky pistons. Very important. Sticky pistons. Easiest way to do it is I count it out to 3. 1, 2, 3. Then place the sticky piston facing inward. Then destroying those blocks again. Now we are set up exactly how we want. And that is the end of this section. The next section is the descending RS NOR latch line. Or RS NOR latch, the pink stuff. You guys get what I'm saying. Now to start off, if you guys remember what our other RS NOR latches look like, we want to start off right here. And then we want to go out this way, and out and up by one more. Whoops, I want to keep that one. Destroy all of those. And this is exactly what we want right here. So we just put one piece of redstone there. Unlike on the other side, we had another one up here. We do not need that piece. In fact, I highly suggest not using that piece. And we put one there. Then we put a repeater facing in, and torches facing other directions. Now we want this to be on. If it's not on, then turn it on. You can do that, I believe, if it is this way, you could just replace that torch and that'll turn it back on. Now let's do the same thing with this one. Start down here. You can move up, around, and out like this. Create this little line. Break out all of those. And do the same thing. I think there's a cleaner way to do that. Try it on my next one. If I go this way, yeah. Oh, cleaner. 1, 2, 3, like that. Was that cleaner? No, that wasn't any cleaner because I don't need those blocks. Getting thrown off by that distance. All right. And then this last one, this is the one. Alright, go like that, 1, 2, and then go up. There we go. That's a much cleaner way to do it. Alright. Oops. Damn it! Okay, we're good. And like so. Now all of our RS NOR latches are set. And we are ready to move on to the next section. This section is the descending floor selection wire. The first thing we want to do is start off by placing our button selection. Obviously, the bottom floor will not actually have any buttons on it whatsoever. So we will just go ahead and block that off. The second floor will have one for the floor below it. And that would be stone. And for the first floor, you want to start as far to the left as possible. So we'll start right there, and as you can see, that lines up with our blue wire. And then I'll just finish capping that off. Second floor, or the third floor, is going to have two. One will be the stone, which will also be lined up in the same section. And then the next section, which is the floor below, which is coal. And you will continue this process all the way to the top. And just so you guys get the idea, when we get all the way to the top, to diamond level, let's go here. to there. We will have sand. I believe that's the right spot. Yeah. Right there. Then we have coal. Then we have iron, lapis, and redstone. And that will be the end of that section. I am pretty sure. Yes. Actually, I had done that wrong. I missed a level. I missed gold. I thought something was wrong. So we add another one here, and then we place our redstone. And that should finish off that section. So as you get lower, you'll be using one less than the other. And when I get finished setting this up, I will be right back. Alright, and we're back. When you are finished, you should have none on the first level, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So as you go up, you will gradually have one additional floor to go down. Now the next section is the portion in which we run our wiring vertically. Now to do this, we will run some wiring, some repeaters off of every one of these sections. On the other side, naturally, you will have a button on each one of these. Once you are finished placing your first set of repeaters behind every button, then you need to start running your wire. I will use the block in which we are representing, in which floor we are representing for the wiring. The first section you want to start off by placing a block and a piece of redstone. From here, this is going to be your center point for your wiring. The easiest way to run your wire like this is basically just to run it down from the center. That is if you're in creative, but you will see the pattern here in a moment if you are not in creative to do it in a better fashion. And then you want to run your wire all the way down to the level for the last button. So in this case, our last button is right here, so your wiring will not go down any further. With the coal, it would be run down to this point. But for now, let's focus on the stone level. From here, you want to create this pattern, like so. Go every other block from this point. Notice that we have the repeater, the redstone, and what's going to happen is we're going to have a repeater on the inside right there. Redstone on the outside, repeater on the inside facing the opposite direction, and then another repeater coming down. So notice the diagonal pattern. You do not want to place redstone up here. That will conflict with other wiring. Now, if you continue this pattern to do every other block, it may actually take a lot less time for you. Or you may jumble it up like I just did. God damn it. Oh my god. I'm sure you guys can figure out a better way to do it if you're in single player. But you really should start from the top. That'll give you a bearing to start with. You shouldn't start at the bottom. Now you need to run your wiring just like how we have it here all the way to the bottom. I will do this off camera, but just to show you guys again, it goes redstone diagonally, then it's a repeater, then a redstone, down, a repeater, redstone, repeater, redstone, repeater, and like that. Now we'll do the rest of this off camera. Once you have completed pumping out all of your wiring and your redstone in this section, you need to make sure that your buttons connect to the wiring without conflicting with other sections. And you will run into two possibilities. Your first possibility is like how it is at the top, where you have your repeater running into a piece of redstone. If you see that, then you do not need to worry about it, and it is already complete.
Can't see it. Sorry.
It's okay. The other section would be this section. You cannot place a piece of redstone here because it will not actually power anything. So what you need to do is put another repeater here, and that will power this block, which will power this piece of redstone, which will continue the connection without breaking any of this wiring. Once you have completed setting up your wiring here in these sections, then you want to, let's go ahead and leave this one alone, but if you're adamant about it, you can go ahead and do that, and that will be just fine. The next section is where it gets a little bit tricky. What we want to do here is put wiring, we want to put wire, I hate it when it does that. We want to put wiring in the same exact opposite order of the first wiring that you set up. So we're going to put blocks in the same order. Oops, make sure you do not hit your repeaters. Dang it. You want to set your blocks in the same order fashion as the other one, but you want to make sure that you stop it in the proper spot. On this one, we want to stop it at the last coal button, which should be this level right here. So we will leave it right there. Now when we come up here, we want to alternate how we wired them. So some options are the wire option. The other option was the repeater option. So at this point we'll use the repeater option. So the power will come in through the repeaters into this block and then into a redstone on the adjacent block. And then from there we want to put a repeater facing the opposite direction. Notice that the repeaters in the center are now facing in the opposite directions of each other. This way we do not have redstone sitting next to each other like this. That will conflict. So at this point we can set our wiring opposite of how we set the other wiring. You will know if you were doing it wrong because your wiring will end up running into each other like this. So make sure that you set all your repeaters in the proper order, and you should be good to go. Now, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and assume you guys know how to set up the rest of your wires. It's exactly how you set these two. Just wire them all the way down till you have the last button. And I will be back right after I have wired up all of these. Oh, another thing, it is best to do one at a time. If you try to do all of them at a time, you will not have the room in which to place these repeaters. Okay, as you are going through, you all constantly need to check and make sure your wiring is not conflicting. You do not want to have to tear out a bunch of your wiring because you made one little mistake. So a good way to test is, if you can fly around or look out the side here, is to maybe place a piston at the end of these lines to make sure that they're working. Hit the button and make sure that none of the other lines are running into each other. Everything's good. Everything's good. Everything's good. And everything's good. Now for your last one, what's gonna happen here is we just need to bring this down a couple of blocks rather than down to another level, In fact, all of these will actually need to be taken down a couple more blocks. But for right now, I just wanted to make sure it was clear enough for everybody. So when you get to the last floor, when you're on the top floor, that is, and you get to the last, to the floor below, for this instance, it's the redstone ore, you want to do what you would normally do. Bring it down. But the difference here is that we only want to go to a certain point. So to figure out what that point is, we need to figure out what our reference point is. Now, I know that we need all of this wire to join together at a point. So what you guys, let me do this once just to make sure I'm doing this the right way. It needs to go like this. So this wiring needs to come down here. That will sit right there. And this will need to come down like so. Bring that here. Piece of redstone. And another block right there. Okay, so now I figured out exactly what I need to do. What we need to do is bring this power into basically this line right here. In order to, that looks really off, doesn't it? Yeah, oh well. In order to do that, what we need to do is bring the power that isn't being transferred through and transfer it through. Now, some of these lines you can see that second one from the front here, not this one, but that one, is already going to power this line because the repeater goes into that gold block and then through and powers the line. But the other blocks are not. What we need to do is let's pop these out. All the ones that have redstone on top of them, break out that block, and on the block below, place a repeater. So, that blue block, place a repeater. That block, place a repeater. Then we will I hate it when it does that. It never gives me the actual ore I need. And that gives me the wrong one as well. Place that back and place the redstone ore back. Then we want to place our redstone back on top of those blocks and then cover this with a pink, that is magenta, right? I'm supposed to be using magenta. There we go. It looks pink. And cover it with the magenta. So now every block that wasn't powering this line is now being powered through this bottom block here. And that's pretty much the only way to do it. And then make sure that all your lines are working. Best thing to do is possibly bring this out like this and just make sure that's working, that's working, that's good, 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 and that one doesn't even have a button. There we go. And that one's good. So that's exactly what we need. And just out of coincidence, this is exactly how we need to have our wire running anyways. So now we need to work on the other levels. The other levels are quite similar. We want to put blocks right here. You can tell it's the right block because there's a repeater, a block, and then you will have this the magenta block, and then another block below it. So we need this space for our wiring. So this is the right area. Now we want to come in here and break off, again, any of the ones that have the redstone ore on top. Place a repeater. Place a repeater. Then we want to put back all of the ore and that's not stone. And put our redstone back on. Cover this back up. Whoops. Nope, that should be good. Put our redstone. Bring this out 2 blocks and then in. Some redstone. And that should be fine as well. And we can go ahead and put some buttons here Notice that the gold one did not work. I actually forgot that we needed to line up the gold one. So we will need to bring the gold back down a couple more blocks. So it just depends on how it needs to be powered. In this case, it comes down here. Let's follow it. It brings it down here. And then it goes back into here. Aha. So this one is also a case in which we need to put a repeater down here, which is right below the one with the redstone. But because it's on the outside, I can reach it from here. Like so. Very simple. Okay, so that should work as well now. Good, 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 and good. Everything's good. I highly suggest to continue testing just in case. And we can just line this up. Let's break that out. No, wrong one. Let's just do it this way so there's no confusion. Go like this, break that one, repeater, break that one, place a repeater. Now we need to put the blocks back. I know, I just got rid of the block I was going to use. Put your redstone back on top. Line it up with the maroon there. And we're going to bring this out by one more block because we have one more section. We need the lapis, which I just got rid of. Let's bring this down. And this one should be the opposite situation. And it is. So this comes down into here, and then already powers the block. So we don't need to put another repeater down here. We're good to go. And this section I just noticed that is not complete. There we go. Do try to watch that. That can cause issues later on. And now we go for our next section, which is the coal. Yep, the coal. No, it's this section up here. Magenta. Bring that there. This one, there's a redstone dot there, so right underneath the redstone dot, we want to put our repeater facing outward. Go like that, and then we also need to bring, sorry about the camera, we need to bring this out. So we go in, redstone, and out. And that's also a situation in which it's handled by that repeater, so we're good to go there. Let's go ahead and bring these out. Did I redstone that one up already? I did. And I think we have one more to go. Possibly two. But nope, we just got this last one. You just put, yeah, 2 blocks there. And then this one needs a repeater facing, let's see, goes right here. Oh, nope, so it just goes right there. And the coal comes down. Whoops, that's not coal. Comes down like so. Let's see, this one is a repeater. Goes in here, in, right there, out. And then we need to bring this one down to here. And then this one will get a repeater on the outside because there's our redstone dot. Put our redstone there. Bring it out. Redstone it up. And we should be good to go. You guys could be testing this throughout, but I'm pretty confident that my wiring is accurate. That's good. And I think I've already tested the ones above. So we are good to go. keep in mind, guys, those buttons are strictly just for me testing to see if the power is running properly. Now, this last one, we might as well go ahead and bring the power out here. This is where our pink power is going to come out. And we'll just leave it right there for now. And make sure you double check that all your power is working. And that should be the end of the descending floor selection wiring. This portion focuses more on the magenta line, which is the floor selection, but specifically how the wire is run. Now, what we need to do here is on every single one of our RS NOR latches that are on the descending side, we need to create this little pattern. Let me get my torch here. We need to put a torch on the back side of this RS NOR latch, and we're going to put a repeater in on the front of that section. Now what you want to do here is bring this out, oops, wrong way. Bring this out by 1, and you want to put a piece of redstone on top of there. Now over here, you want to put a block that is in front of that piece of redstone right there, and put a torch in front of that. That is to depower this torch so it doesn't conflict with the RS NOR latch. So when this button is pressed, it sets the RS NOR latch. And you want to do that with every RS NOR latch. So we'll bring it out like so. You can do this. Break that one out. Sorry about that, I had to sneeze. Let me put our repeater, redstone, and a torch. And we don't need that. And we just continue this on. Bring this out. Destroy that one line, that one, that one. Repeater, redstone, redstone, torch, and that should be good. Let's bring this out. Oops. Bring this out again. Bring there. Torch, redstone, redstone, and torch. Oop, not redstone, repeater. And then down here as well, you could do the exact same thing. Looks like we may want to drop that. Who knows? Then repeater, break that out. Or redstone, torch, repeater, redstone, break those out. And then we got a torch right there. So this is where our line comes in, so we can put a block right there and have your little descending line right like that. Now what's so important about this section is the next portion. The next portion is very important because what we need to do is we need to connect this line of wire to the top of this torch, top of this RS NOR latch. Now, the whole reason for me doing multiple floors and different types of floors is specifically for this wiring, because it can get a little tricky. For the first floor, we will bring this down like this and put a torch on the outside. Alright guys, so what we're going to do here is we're going to make sure that this works out properly. I'm going to extend this down a little bit, this wiring right here. So we'll do this. We have wire there, so the wire goes into this, turns around and goes into this section. So I'm going to go ahead and just run the wire as if it was on the other port, just like it would be if it was up there on any of the other sections. At least close to it anyways. So this way the wire comes in through here and down and turns it off just like that. Just like our other sections. Alright, and that's going to make it easier on me. Now, what we want to do is pretty much what I was saying before. We want to bring the line in, oops, sorry, this way. Bring the line down by one block, then put a torch at the end, so it's inverted. Bring this line down to 2, and then bring it over, like so. And this will work, it'll work this way if you have it exactly at 6 blocks per floor. And this is a nice compact way to do it. It gets a little trickier as we go up. Okay, so we have 6 blocks between that floor, 8 blocks between that floor. Now the 8 block is actually a very tricky one. For whatever reason, you can do this multiple ways, but we're just going to go ahead and do it this way. I'm going to bring it out like that, and then invert it, and then I'm going to bring it down. Like so. Invert it, and then I can bring out my 2. So basically, instead of dropping this one by 2 over here, we're just bringing it out by 1, dropping it, and then doing it another turn. So I hope you guys caught that. If not, I'll sit it right here. You guys can pause it and then copy it. Okay. Now for the next section. The next section should be a little bit easier. We'll move it down. Move it down again. And put a torch. Move it down again. Redstone. Torch. And down one last time. And there we go. Our line is now cut. Now we have, let's see, the first one was 6. This one is 6. This one is 8. This one was 10. And this one is 12. Okay, I'm going to do this one a little bit differently. I'm going to attempt to do this using the descending wire. And I'm going to try starting from the bottom. So we're going to start like this. This will power this redstone, and we will work our way up. So go like this, and then it goes in the other direction. So we will just work our way up. Punch those out. That one goes that way. That one goes that way. And it looks like this might actually work out. Oh, no, it will not. Well, let's see how far we can get. I'm pretty confident that I can get this to work. Alright. Let's break this out and break this out. Let's try to get this powered right here. Can we do that? That does not look possible. That will not work. And if I were to try to go up by one more, that wouldn't work. But I could lower this by 1. Let's see if that will work. Like so. Okay, so now the power is going like this. And that's going to go right there. Okay, let's take that all the way up. Right there. It's all about getting creative. If you have more floors, their best bet is to use this system and then just get creative with your wiring. So we want to go inward, inward, inward. Perfect. Oh wait, no. That is going the opposite direction that we want, isn't it? Aha! We have figured it out. Okay, so the wiring goes in like this. Bam. right there. So we need the power to come in this way, which is perfect because it'll go right there and into our line. So if it doesn't work one way, try lifting it up by one block or lowering it by one block and seeing if that will work. This torch right here will not conflict with this repeater whatsoever. And that's my son singing the Wonder Pets song. Awesome. This one, we will be doing the exact same way, and the reason why we want to do it the exact same way is because when we go to add in, or if at one point you do want to add in another floor, it's going to make it a lot more consistent. So let's go ahead and run our wire like so. This is going to be the center. So let's just assume that we're going to be consistent. We're just going to run our wire like this. Do exactly the same thing we did on the other side. Do I need a wire? No, I don't need a block there. So then our wiring comes up like this. You always want to start at the bottom because you don't know, if you start at the top, you don't know where you're going to end up. So you need to figure out what you're powering first, then go in reverse. Oops. And then once we figure out how we want our power, so the power's going this way and that, so we gotta go the opposite. Stagger power, and here, 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 and here. So our power just needs to go there. Now when we go to add another floor, you'll see how easy it is to edit this to make the second floor or the 7th floor work. This magenta line, which is the descending floor selection wire, is complete. It is done, and the only part that's left now is the activation wire for opening the elevator to go down. This section is focusing on the activation wire for the descending portion of the elevator. Now this portion will be represented by obsidian because for the most part I ran out of colored materials to work with. And that, do I have volume? I do have volume. And that will be a button placed right here. Okay, once you have placed all of your buttons with your proper line, which I just inverted right here for some reason, that made no sense, we now need to run that line through without cutting into our wiring here. Our goal destination is this block right here, and to power that block we're actually going to go in with repeaters right here. So you can bring that line in like so. Oops, let's go ahead and bring this out to here, out one, and this ought to do it for every single line. I highly suggest using repeaters. I'm pretty sure it's almost necessary. Yeah, use a repeater right after the button. Set the repeater to full delay. Then you put redstone all across here. Notice that the power just went into there. You want to use a block to block off the connection there. And notice that if you press a button here that you could possibly be messing around with this torch. You do not need to worry about that because the torch, if it's in this location, it will be off. And also you will be continuing your line this way with repeaters. You should be setting 3 repeaters along this line, full delay, and you should not have any issues with running into other wiring. Let's go ahead and do the next one. Bring it out. Let's see if we can count this out. Bring it out 1, 2, 3 blocks, then bring it this way in 1 block. Then you want to go diagonal up a block, and then continue it all the way through, and then up one block.
On
And then there's my son. He's
block.
up on block. That's right, buddy. And then do that. And then you should run your wiring. Notice that wiring right there, and we just cut that off, and we're good to go. Let's go ahead and do another one.
No. Yeah.
Up 3. That one. And then we go diagonal.
Up block.
Yeah, a block. And then like
Up
that. We go 1, 2, 3. Run our wire.
1, 2,
That one.
3.
Oh, make sure we cut off our connection here. Full delays. I think I missed the full delays on the other one. Full delays are important because it gives you plenty of time to jump in. If you are on SMP, then you definitely need that timing because can't tell you how awkward it is getting in there. So we got that. And then let's go ahead and do the next one. 2, 3. Over 1. Diagonally up. Then we go over. And then we want that block right there. 3 repeaters. Down. There. And notice that I didn't run into something here. You will run into 2 situations. You will either run into a repeater if you're using this wiring, or you'll run into a block. Since the blocks do not emit power as long as they are in the center, then you're not going to have any issues. So you are good to go. This system will work that way as well. All the repeaters set to full delay. And oops, get back up there. We got 2 more to go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1. Oops, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 1. 1, 2. Oops. Oh, well, we can set these to forward delay. 1, 2, 3. Set these in here. 2, 3. And we're good to go there. And the last one is not as important as the rest, but like 1, 2, 3, and then up diagonally. I'm doing it exactly this. Oh, I shouldn't do it exactly the same. Okay, when we add the floor, we're gonna have to do a little rewiring. So for now, I'll just come in here. We'll just place one there. Go up like that. We'll have to do a little rewiring here because we need to power the block that's actually above this one when we add the floor. So we will the repeater here. Let's go ahead and set that repeater. We're going to set that repeater, which will be removed later, but we want to get that same timing. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So set that one. And there we go. Now, if I have done everything properly, we can get to any floor from any floor. And the next section will be making sure that I did that properly. Alright guys, we are back, and I have completed the tutorial from start to finish. And I've got a burp. There we go. And sorry about that. And now we need to test it. We haven't checked to see if we can go up or down this thing at all. So let's go ahead and check to see if our wiring will work. Let's go ahead and go to Lapras. Let's see if this works. You press the button. And is there a button there? There is. And then we press our activation line. We step in the elevator. And already we have a problem. And what is our problem? Let's go ahead and try this again. See what happens. Ah, I see what our problem is. Our problem lies right here. Let's go ahead and remove these blocks. Should have thought about that a little bit sooner. But let's go ahead and place all our repeaters. The whole point of all these repeaters is so it doesn't interfere with these pistons. But I still went ahead and did it anyways. Alright. First test, fail. Alright, second test. Test the activation line, we're good. Timing seems to be good. And And right there, perfect. And it pushed me right out. Awesome. Let's go ahead and go down to the first floor. Oops. I should put a backer in there so I don't create that issue. And that was me standing on top of the backer that I did have back there. I'm going to go ahead and add a backer. I can get in there. I can't get in there. I have to go to the top and then go all the way back down, don't I? Yes, I do. This part of the tutorial may not be necessary, but it's basically just to ensure that everything I have told you guys works. I do not want to have laid something out improperly during the tutorial and not tested it properly. Oops, I just saw that. That was bad. I think I did it to another one of these. You gotta watch where you're clicking. Strobe. Okay. I'm just gonna do it this way. So much quicker. Alright, there's that one. And there's that one. Alright. So now we have a backer, and it's going to make things a lot easier. Alright, let's go ahead and go to gold level. Ba-doom, ba-doom, and we're at gold. Good, good. Alright, let's go ahead and go to the bottom so we can worry about the ascending portion. Alright, we made it to the bottom. Let's go ahead and see if our floor selection is going to work. I just selected, what level is that? Redstone. I hop in, and I'm getting pushed right up in there. That's not too far from my head right there. So this should take me all the way up to redstone. I'm pretty sure I've already tested this, but it's been a couple days. I've been doing this tutorial over a few days, so it looks like everything works. I haven't tested every floor to every floor, but I mean, it should work. You can easily test this by going to a floor and then coming back up to the floor and testing every button, so floor to floor. But for the most part, when you think about it, if this line's gonna work with this button, then it's gonna work with all of the buttons as long as you put all of these in properly. So, and you can change your mind at any time. So you want to go to coal. Now, if you have an issue like this where you're on a floor and it's open, you know, you can select the floor. Let's go to iron. You click the button, go in here. You can stand in here and click the button while you're in here. What I like about this is you change your mind, you can jump out at any time, and it won't mess anything up. Alright guys, well I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. If you guys like this tutorial, please leave comments and like it for me. This way I'll know that you guys want me to make more tutorials on stuff. I do have more stuff coming out. So, again guys, thank you and I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.